I want to broaden this out a little bit and bring it to the discussion. The panel, Dub App founder and CEO Stephen Wang, along with the federal election correspondent Brianna Lyman. Brianna, you join me in these panels a lot. We'll put up a couple of charts. U.S. unemployment rates for 16 to 24-year-olds is 11%. For everyone else is 4%. Share of U.S. household equities held by Americans 70 plus has doubled. So essentially, what I'm hearing from younger people your age, is saying, hey, Mike, what you're describing is the old America, the new America is like the greatest days are behind us.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in my generation, I'm Gen Z, do feel this way, and it's problematic politically, especially for Republicans. The reason Republicans got a trifecta last November is they ran on affordability. They said, we're going to make it different. One, right now, things don't feel marginally different. I can't really feel a massive, switcheroo between Biden and Trump. And two, we wonder why young people are flocking to Mamdani, AOC Sanders, the socialist types. And it's because those candidates speak about affordability more than Republicans and even some mainstream Democrats do. And that's appealing when people in my generation feel like they're working their behinds off and they're not really getting much to show for it.
Stephen, there was a chart out, ironically, from Vox, which is a sort of left-leaning thing, saying the median wealth of Americans under 35 is the highest on record. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not adjusted for inflation, but is there some excessive belly aching amongst young folks here?
I think you can see that in both ways, but I think ultimately what it comes down to is perception is reality. And like Brianna said, people feel the affordability crunch, or at least they think they feel it. When that's true, it's more important than ever to sort of address those topics head on. And that's why we see more young investors wanting to invest more than ever.
Yeah, I'm going to get to your thing, too, because we're going to talk a little bit, maybe solutions before this is over. But I'm going to back up on, Brianna, what you did. So, again, Mike, you had some pretty powerful folks talk about this. Peter Atwater had a comment, then Kim Kersan has something where he says the hyperbolic outpouring of support for Professor Plum's piece is the surest sign that the zeitgeist of populism is back with a vengeance. Do you think that's the case?
I do think that's the case. And I think, unfortunately, the reaction that you're seeing from entities like Vox, as I explained in the piece that came right before this, Are You an American?, basically boils down to messaging that's now coming from the left in response to Mamdani's victory, because they're scared. They literally are saying, oh my gosh, everybody's angry. They're choosing to embrace these policies. That would be really bad for our big donors.
So this zeitgeist of populism, and by the way, it's not just America, right? It's almost all over, it's happening all over the world, Brianna. But, Greg Ip had a piece in the Journal saying the affordability thing, you didn't hear about it a lot. I think the media didn't talk about it a lot under Biden, even though inflation went through the roof. But it moves, right? So right now, I think I saw lumber, frozen orange juice crashed. I mean, it's lumber is down, gasoline is down, but something else is up. So what is that? It's populism for you the answer?
I think it is the answer. And I think, to be clear, I think things are trending in a better direction under Trump than they were under Biden, but people can't feel that. And from this, the populist movement, everything else flows. If young people, my generation, feel like they can't afford to have a stake in this country, whether it's through home ownership, starting a family, they don't have any real reason to vote for policies that will make America better and safer in the future. It's just, short-term immediate gratification, which is problematic.
It is amazing, though, the conservative birth rate and liberal. I mean, conservatives are holding up their part of the bargain.
We're trying.
The liberals aren't having any kids at all. I mean, so your business is you get folks to invest, particularly young folks. There's an interesting piece out where millennial ETF investors say they have the skills to outperform the market. And so they're confident they can do this. Is this the solution? I mean, is ultimately, whether it's trading the market, it's the solution for folks, particularly young folks, to go out there in the old-fashioned, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and make it happen yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And my parents immigrated to the U.S. I was born in Detroit for the American dream. They came here for the ownership economy. And the owning a stock has been so associated with what it means to be American. I think young people don't see the traditional path working out for them anymore. And they see so many millionaires being created around them who are the new meme stock or crypto millionaires. But the thing is that they see one or two of those off cases, they think they can get lucky too. And the basis of our company is that it's a lot harder to actually do that. To actually outperform, it's better to probably invest with people that actually have real experience, that have been doing the markets and have a vetted track record.
But obviously you're encouraging people to do it, right? To go out there and to invest. And I mean, because to me, the stock market is the greatest money-making machine in history, right?
Absolutely. It's a fundamental engine of capitalism. And I think the key thing is how do people not only start investing, but invest better. And that's what we want to try and do with our platform, Dub, where you can actually follow vetted investors and trade exactly like what they're doing.
So, Mike, where do we go from here?
Well, two quick things. First, I actually want to applaud Stephen for what he's done, because if you really think about what he's doing, You're identifying vetted investors. You're lowering the cost of accessing that platform as a vetted investor. It's no different than the mutual fund or ETF regulation that theoretically is supposed to protect investors by only having registered vehicles available.
Right.
One of the solution sets, and this is something very explicit in the way that I analyze the world, is to lower those costs of participation, increase competition, and I'm thrilled to hear about stuff like this, regardless of whether the individuals that are being selected are the right answer or not the right answer. It's a great development in that way. That type of process, though, this idea of identifying what are the barriers to participation, what are the costs that are too high, why is it so difficult for me to start a business, why is it so unaffordable to obtain childcare, things like childcare that surprise people, the answer to that is because we have restrictions on the supply of childcare. And they're there for very valid reasons, right? Most states will not allow a child care facility to have more than 6 kids at a time. Once you factor in the insurance costs, the labor costs, et cetera, it's just not a really profitable business. And so we need to figure out how to lower those costs of participating in the economy so that more and more people can thrive without just spending ridiculous amounts of money.
So real quick, last word to you, Brianna. Back in the day, family did that. You know, back in the day, you got married, you bought a house. It was a virtuous cycle, and now it feels like a lot of young folks are saying, "Well, first I want to get the money, and then I'll do all these other things." Back then, you could do those things, and it will help you get the money. You know, it feels like it's been flipped around. Do you have any confidence that it could get back somewhat to the way it was?
I think President Trump has kind of touched on this with his investment accounts for newborn babies, these different mortgages. He wants to respond to the knee-jerk feeling young Americans are feeling, which is, I want to start a family, but I can't afford to start a family. And if we don't create and prioritize policies that allow Americans to start those families, you're going to see social and societal decline because you need births. You need births to happen.
Right. Great stuff. Mike, again, congratulations, man. Everyone's talking about it. You took a few slings, a few arrows, but you're holding up pretty good.
Thank you.
Stephen, Brianna, thank you all very, very much. All right.